The girl's head was hit by a snowmobile. A car accident, a mother called 911, saying her daughter was trapped. They had been on their way to go skiing, but their car got rear-ended. The snowmobile dragged behind the car, smashed into the vehicle, hitting the girl's head. Firefighters quickly put on a neck brace and ensured her safety. The snowmobile started swinging again, and gasoline began leaking, ready to ignite at any moment.
Mount, Herman.
Here.
Come on, let's get this thing moving.
Firefighters chained the snowmobile to their fire truck and slowly backed it up to pull it out. The snowmobile was soon pulled free, but the moment it hit the ground, sparks ignited the leaking fuel and flames erupted instantly.
Otis, get out of there!
No! Before the flames could reach the car, both were pulled to safety. A car was teetering dangerously on a rooftop. Falling concrete struck a car passing below. The driver was knocked unconscious, his condition unknown, while the woman in the passenger seat was terrified.
Somebody get us out of here!
The chief told her to stay calm as more debris was falling from above.
Everybody get back!
Firefighters kept a careful eye on anything that could fall from the rooftop. The ladder truck couldn't reach this height, and the fire engine was too large to get close. They had no choice but to take smaller vehicles with equipment up to the roof. The driver was losing blood fast, his vital signs weak, but the rooftop car wasn't secured, so medics couldn't risk a direct rescue. She had the passenger wrap the driver's arm with a scarf to help stop the bleeding. The chief led the team to the rooftop.
It's safe to get out of the car?
Relax, pal, we're gonna get you out. We don't have time to stabilize the car.
Chief, I'll go online, pull the victim out through the back. Clark, you secure the rope. Yes, sir.
Fortunately, a few ropes were holding the car in place, but they couldn't last long. A firefighter tied himself with a safety rope and jumped onto the car. The car rocked violently, making the terrified driver even more panicked. He found the right spot, smashed the glass, climbed inside, pulled the driver out. As they jumped away, the rope snapped. At the last second, the fire engine pulled the car below out of danger just as the rooftop car came crashing down.
Watch out!
Their teamwork was flawless, but the rescue wasn't over. They quickly pried open the car doors and lifted the two injured women to safety. Fortunately, they all survived what an intense and thrilling day. The man was drenched in sweat, his eyes were bulging, yet he refused treatment. The paramedics were confused, while the man blamed his coworker for calling 911. He kept mumbling toward the sky. His coworker said he often prayed like this. The paramedics quickly understood.
Jacob, are you declining treatment for religious reasons?
But department policy required them to perform a basic assessment once they responded. Not wanting any trouble, the man agreed to a quick check. They soon discovered he had pulmonary edema. Without treatment, he would almost certainly die, but the man believed it was God's will. Without a patient's consent, paramedics cannot provide treatment, so all they could do was try to persuade him.
This is the last minute of your life. Let us save you. All I need is a nod.
Okay, that's a nod. Get a line in. No, I'll get
Are you sure that was actually a yes? The man closed his eyes and turned his head away, looking completely resigned to his fate. He refused to cooperate with the treatment. And then the worst happened. The man went into ventricular fibrillation. The paramedics laid him on the ground and immediately began treatment. After receiving medication, he finally started breathing on his own again, but they had no idea what consequences were waiting for them. Soon, their supervisors arrived. For acting without clear consent, they were disciplined and suspended for 3 months. So in a situation like that, should they really have just stood by and done nothing? New recruits these days can be quite a handful. Whoa. Just now, firefighters received a call reporting cries for help coming from a clothing donation bin. But when a paramedic climbed up to check, she fell inside too. Luckily, the rest of the crew was still there. The chief told a firefighter to grab a rescue saw. Eager to prove herself, the rookie rushed to get the equipment, but she underestimated its weight and dropped it on the ground. Everyone cringed at the sight. A perfectly good saw blade was ruined. The chief immediately chewed her out.
Jones! Stand over here and don't touch a damn thing!
Fortunately, they had a backup saw. Before long, they cut open the donation bin, and both the paramedic and the trapped victim were freed. Everyone got busy, while the rookie stood there like a statue, not knowing what to do. Back at the firehouse, the chief assigned her bathroom cleaning duty.
No, they don't.
Excuse me?
No, they don't, sir. What I meant was that Herman already asked me to scrub the showers, so.
I'm asking you to scrub them again, candidate.
To make massacre worse, she tried complaining to another officer.
Jones, you're at the squad table.
But nobody was interested in getting involved. She had no choice but to walk away. The chief sent her and a teammate to get fire extinguishers, but she deliberately sent her teammate to the crowded side while quietly grabbing an extinguisher herself and running back first. Maybe she was eager to save lives, or maybe she just wanted to prove herself. Either way, it left a bad impression on her coworkers. One of them gave her 2 simple pieces of advice.
Do your job. Keep your mouth shut.
I was just busting balls, Lieutenant.
I'll repeat number 2. Keep your mouth shut.
But she brushed it off. She thought it was no big deal and that she was only joking around. That only made it harder for her to fit in with the team. That night, a fire broke out in an office building. Facing the raging flames, the crew still looked out for her and kept her behind them. They found an unconscious victim, and the chief told her to drag the employee outside. But no matter how strong she was, dragging a 250-pound man was not easy. She gave it everything she had and managed to move him only a few feet. Then the teammate she had messed with earlier rushed over without hesitation. Not only did he help drag the victim to safety, but he also praised her effort.
Hey, look at me! You're doing great, all right? You're fine! Keep doing it!
Watching her teammates rescue one victim after another, she finally understood the power of teamwork. At that moment, she realized she needed to become part of the team. That's how people grow, and it's something almost every rookie goes through. A train derailed and crashed into a warehouse, leaving many people injured. The biggest danger was an overturned tanker filled with propane. Firefighters had to evacuate everyone as quickly as possible. Those who could walk escaped on their own, but more than 30 people were still trapped inside the train cars, banging on the windows for help. Firefighters used a rescue saw to cut open the train doors. The lightly injured passengers climbed out by themselves. The rest waited to be rescued.
Redirect the lines, everyone. We gotta get water on that tanker now.
Herman! You got this?
Got it, Lieutenant! Let's go! Move those lines!
Firefighters rushed to put out the fire.
You okay?
I'm okay!
The situation got even worse. The propane tank began shooting flames.
Chief, pressure's falling on the pumper.
The chief checked the fire engine and discovered a huge hole in the water tank. With no choice, they set up an elevated water system to keep cooling the tanker. Then they received word that someone was trapped inside the warehouse office. The chief immediately led a team to rescue them. But just as they reached the doorway,
Chief, wait!
debris crashed down and trapped both firefighters underneath. Things got even worse. The fire engine was now completely out of water. Without cooling, the propane tank could explode at any moment and devastate everything nearby. The chief ordered everyone to evacuate. The crew fell silent. As a team, they could not just leave their own people behind.
I got a job to finish.
We're on the tanker.
Chief ain't going out like this.
Let's move!
For the first time, the entire crew refused the chief's order. They connected a hose to the pressure relief valve and secured the other end to the railroad tracks, planning to safely burn off the propane. But the valve had been scorched by the heat and would not turn. They grabbed pliers and forced it open. Then they lit a flare and threw it toward the gas. At last, the propane threat was eliminated, and the chief was finally rescued.